It's time for Mornings at 8 with Jonathan Mark on AM 1480 WLEA.
And here we go. It is Wednesday morning, 8:05, Wednesday, halfway through the week. So it's not bad. You can see the weekend kind of looming up over the horizon a little bit. It'll be here soon enough. Wednesday, halfway through the week. Now, I got home yesterday from the station, and I drove in our driveway, and all of a sudden it occurred to me, and I don't know why I really didn't notice this before, but over the past week, the leaves have come out. And all of a sudden it struck me, I said, hey, the leaves are on the trees. And they weren't there last week, and here they are. And it's kind of a springtime type green. It's like a light, delicate, translucent green. And it's beautiful. This is the best time of year. I do like spring a lot. Because as the season goes on and spring turns to summer, and then toward the end of summer, let's say in August or something, the green is darker, it's heavier, it's as if it's kind of tired of being summer, and that's it. But in the springtime, it's a light and beautiful green, absolutely gorgeous. Now yesterday I had a story that was on the misplaced coffee cup on that HBO episode of whatever it is, a Game of Thrones. Well, if you didn't catch it Sunday, or maybe you taped it or recorded it or something, it'll never be seen again, ever, anywhere, because HBO has already digitally removed the coffee cup from that scene sitting in front of Emilia Clarke's character on Game of Thrones on Sunday. So they were so embarrassed that it's gone. It will be, what does it say here? It's been edited out of the version currently available on HBO Go, and it will never be seen in any encore presentations going forward or in the episode that makes it into DVD sets. So if you didn't see that misplaced coffee cup, a Starbucks cardboard coffee cup, you'll never see it again. So it was either Sunday or never. So if you taped it, there it is. But if you didn't, it's gone forever. Now, the big news this morning, I guess, is the New York Times claims it has gotten hold in some fashion of President Trump's tax returns for the years, let me see, 1985 through 1994. And this article is from the New York Times. Since the 2016 campaign, journalists at the New York Times and elsewhere have been trying to piece together Donald J. Trump's complex and concealed finances. Concealed finances, okay. Now, the Times has obtained 10 years of previously unrevealed figures from the president's federal income tax returns. And the tax numbers for the years 1985 through 1994 paint a far bleaker picture of Mr. Trump's dealing-making abilities and financial condition than the one he has long put forth. So this is a real lengthy article. I mean, this goes on and on and on. And rather than read the whole stupid article, they have 5 points here. It says, Mr. Trump was deep in the red, even as he peddled deal-making advice. Okay? And number 2, in multiple years, he appears to have lost more money than nearly any other individual taxpayer. Why would he have lost more money almost than any other individual taxpayer? Probably because he made more money. If you make more money, you can lose more money, right? Probably why. What else have we here? Let me see. He paid no federal income taxes for 8 of the 10 years. Business owners like Mr. Trump may also use their losses to avoid paying taxes on future income. Now, I'd like to point out that even if you own a mom-and-pop ice cream stand or any business, you can write off losses. Anybody can. It isn't just Mr. Trump. And anybody who owns a business knows that that's true. You can write off business losses over a number of years. So it wasn't just him. And if he lost a lot of money, he could write it off over a number of years, 8 to 10 years, right? He also, he made millions posing as a corporate raider until investors realized he never followed through. For a time, Mr. Trump was able to stave off his coming collapse with the help of a new public role. He traded on his business titan brand to present himself as a corporate raider. It says here, he would acquire shares in a company that, with borrowed money, suggests publicly that he was contemplating a takeover and then quietly sell on the resulting bump in the stock price. An occasional quote from a high-profile associate helped burnish that myth. He has an appetite like a Rocky Mountain vulture, his stockbroker Alan Greenberg told the Wall Street Journal in 1987. He'd like to own the world. Well, really, if you want a really big business, yeah, you're ambitious. Okay, I don't think he wants to own the world, but he certainly is ambitious. And the last point they have here is his interest income spiked in 1989 at $52.9 million, but the source is a mystery. Who knows? Maybe it came from Russia. I'm just saying. Maybe it came from Russia. Anyway, so there we have it, and that's really the sum of the New York Times article here. So, and it's so that's what they're saying, and the president this morning and last night was saying no, it's not exactly accurate. So maybe we will never know. I don't know. But that's what's going on there. So what's going on in Washington? Well, I can't see anything other than endless investigations into the president. I wonder if anything positive has been accomplished at all in Washington. So are they doing anything else? I mean, is that all these people are doing? Is investigating and investigating? Now it's his tax returns and financial statements. And, of course, there's a threat of impeachment. That's being brought up again, too. Endlessly, one thing after another, or several things at once. And if that doesn't work, they'll circle back and try the first thing again. But it just goes on and on and on. Have those people nothing better to do? Now, I'm not a historian. I'm just a schmo on the radio with the microphone here. So I'm not sure. But I can think of no time in our lifetime where a president has been under such continual, mean-spirited, vicious, paranoid attacks. Think of it in our lifetime, the lifetime of our listeners. So let's see. We have Trump, and then Obama. And then going back, we have Bush 43, and then Clinton, and then Bush 41, and then Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter, Gerald Ford. Seen anything like this yet? No, not yet. Then let's see. We have Richard Nixon, Lyndon Johnson, John Kennedy, Dwight Eisenhower, Harry Truman. Now we're getting into the older listeners here. How about Franklin Roosevelt, Herbert Hoover? And that should probably cover most of our listeners, I think. Now, all these people have been attacked for one thing or another. How about Bush 43? Remember how he deliberately steered a hurricane toward New Orleans? I mean, President Bush 43, made that hurricane hit New Orleans because apparently he didn't like the people there. Remember that? Or how about Nixon? Of course, the Vietnam War was going on, and I should point out that he ended it, by the way. And then came Watergate, and it was all over. But never has there been anything like this. This is unprecedented. This is epic. This started before Trump was elected, as we're slowly finding out. So this is an extraordinary time. And in very much a related story, this is from The Federalist, and I got this yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And this is by someone I've never heard. I don't even know how to pronounce the name. Saritha Prabhu, or Prabhu. I don't even know if it's a man or a woman. I have no idea. But it's a really good article. And kind of tangentially here, there's an editor's note at the beginning of this article. Now, I found this on the MSN website, alleged website, My Socialist Network. Anyway, so this was on the MSN website. And the editor's note goes, the opinions in this article are the author's, as published by our content partner, and do not necessarily represent the views of MSN. You'll soon see why. Because every single article that appears on the MSN news site is nothing but anti-Trump. Well, not every article, but every article about the president is anti-Trump. Everything, bar none. Every article is anti-Trump. This one is rather pro-Trump. So they had a distance. I'm shocked that they published this thing. I have no idea why they did it or who made the choice to do this, but this is on the MSN website from The Federalist. And it's by this Mr. Prabhu or something. It says, the headline is, Donald Trump's biggest crime was winning the 2016 election. That kind of says it all. It's a rather lengthy article. It starts off, Donald Trump's biggest crime was winning the 2016 election. For the media elite in the Beltway and politicians, that was the catastrophic, unforgettable crime from which all other imaginary crimes they now pursue him for originated. It says, how dare he win that election? Didn't he know the election belonged to Hillary Clinton, who'd been building up for this very moment for 3 decades, courting every relevant constituency, remembering every useful politician's birthday, and being as banal as possible? How dare he win the election on his very first try? If you scratch the surface, jealousy is one of the driving emotions among Washington's elite against Trump and his electoral success. He achieved what many career politicians would die and sell their souls multiple times for. And Trump did it seemingly casually, almost effortlessly. How dare he? He must have stolen the election. How dare he win that election with a shoestring budget and a ramshackle campaign apparatus? How dare he win without an army of consultants, strategists, advisors, pollsters, and fancy data interpreters? Didn't he understand that our elections are an excellent jobs program for thousands of operatives and media types? How dare he win the old-fashioned way? By having a simple, direct message, recognizing heartland voters' economic woes, and campaigning in that retail politics way of his. Didn't he know that 21st century elections are now won with big data, micro-targeting of voters, and media-hyped candidates? How dare he lie and exaggerate in that crude, undisciplined way of his? Doesn't he know that Washington likes their liars to be polished prevaricators and know how to couch their fabrications in think tankese? And to add insult to injury, how dare he win by just saying what he and millions of ordinary voters thinks? That's just not done. Didn't he appreciate that presidential campaign speak is an art unto itself? Something that has been focus grouped, poll-tested, script-driven, platitude-filled, that'll give no offense whatsoever to any identity group in America and bore listeners to tears. How dare Trump riff offhand and entertain voters? The gall of the man. How dare he say obvious common sense things like spending blood and treasure on Middle Eastern quagmires isn't okay anymore, that America can't afford to be the world's security underwriter anymore, that our global trade deals have shafted American workers for too long. Who does he think he is? So it goes on and on and on. And there's a lot more. You really have to access this on the Federalist. And for God's sakes, he writes, or she writes, doesn't he know that caring about one's nation and its citizens is passé? It's all global now. Pretend caring is in a vague, generalized, feel-good way about global citizens while getting richer off their cheap labor is the fashion now. For all his flaws, Trump is the best thing to have happened to our ossified, corrupt national politics. With his unpredictable, heterodox ways of policy-making and communicating to the masses, Trump has in some ways neutered the media elite. What we have been seeing for the last 2.5 years is nothing but revenge on steroids. For the crime of winning the 2016 election, the elites have pinned all manner of crimes on Trump, hoping something will stick. And that's the end of the article. And that really says it all. That really says it all. This is nothing but revenge. And it's been going on for a long time. 2.5 years. Actually, a little more than 2.5 years. I think it started during his campaign. And really, I mean, that's enough. That's really enough. Now you're saying, well, boy, are you pro-Trump? Boy, you're really a pro-Trump guy. Actually, I'm not. You know, I am not pro-Trump. And I'm not anti-Trump. What I am is pro-United States of America. That's what I'm pro. And the guy is the president. And I think it'd be nice if people let him be the president. You take care of the country's business, and everybody gets on. You know what I mean? So I'm not pro-Trump. Matter of fact, Trump has said a number of things that really aggravate me. One of which I'll probably address maybe next week or something, when he said, "Oh, this was over the top," and he said this a number of times, that the media is the enemy of the people. And having been in media as long as I have been, I find that really offensive, and worst of all, inaccurate. Because the media is not the enemy of the people, and I wish he would stop saying that. I seriously wish he'd stop saying that, because that's wrong. Now, maybe he's just Trump being Trump and exaggerating just for effect. But you can't, it's so wrong. As I said, I can't even tell you. The media is not the enemy of the people. I'm a member of the media. And I don't think I'm the enemy of the people. I don't think so. I don't think Brian is. Matter of fact, I just don't think so. But there's more to that. And maybe in some future show, I would seriously like to take that up. But the fact is that Trump really hasn't done anything wrong. It's just people don't like him for some inexplicable, weird, strange way. And I don't know why. So we are going to take a break and hear from our sponsors, and we will be back after this.
New to golf or seasoned veteran, you'll enjoy the casual, relaxed atmosphere of Vanderview Golf Course. 2 miles from downtown Alfred on Waterwells Road, Vanderview is a 9-hole executive-length golf course with a driving range on one side of the road and the course on the other. Family-friendly and fun recreation for everyone. Greens fees are one price for unlimited play, $9.50. High school students, only $5. Children 12 and under with an adult, no charge. You can play up to 18 holes or 9 holes with a cart and get the second 9 holes at no additional charge. Ladies and senior golfers who don't hit the long ball, Vanderview's got the executive length that's just right for your game. And new this year, a season pass for only $100. That's a lot of golfing fun for a very little bit of money. Vanderview Golf Course, 2 miles from downtown Alfred on Waterwells Road. Vanderview Golf Course.
From the Fox Business Network, stock futures are flat this morning after Tuesday's steep sell-off. Investors are waiting to see whether trade tensions with China can be reduced by negotiations this week. China's latest export numbers just released are disappointing. Sprint is reporting its biggest loss of cell phone customers in years. Its number of regular customers with a monthly bill dropped by 189,000 in the first 3 months of the year. Sprint has said free lines and customers switching to no-contract plans are cutting into its business. Ride company Lyft is bringing in more money, but it is spending it too. Lyft had expenses in the quarter relating to its stock launch in March. Its first quarter as a public company is encouraging. The Dow dropped 473 yesterday. The Nasdaq was down 159, and the S&P lost 48. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
You don't want to mess with the IRS. They have the power to garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. That's all true. But thankfully, they're offering a way out. The Fresh Start Initiative. If you qualify, you could save thousands. The experts at Optima Tax Relief will fight to get you the best possible tax settlement, and they have an A+ rating with the BBB. Call Optima for your free consultation.
Call 800-410-6744. 800-410-6744. Optima Tax Relief. The Ryan Agencies, your local, independent insurance agencies. The Ryan Agency employs 15 of your friends and neighbors. They live, shop, and support our community. When you buy insurance from the Ryan Agency, you support local families. Contact the Ryan Agencies today, your local source for all things insurance.
Insurance protection you can rely on. The Ryan Agency.
And back we are. You know, if you're looking for good news this morning, okay, I was telling you about your really negative type stuff there. Are you ready? That's right. This is from the San Francisco Chronicle. Red-legged frogs, once killed off in Yosemite, are back with the help from the San Francisco Zoo. So any fans out there of red-legged frogs, this is a big day for you. You might call it a red-letter day. Anyway, so let me see here. Yosemite National Park. Giddy scientists have spotted scores of tiny tadpoles and egg sacs in ponds, creek beds, and marshy meadows in Yosemite Valley this spring. The first evidence in a half-century that this rare, sensitive California red-legged frog is breeding after being driven to extinction in the lush meadows of this spectacular park. The discovery of the newborn amphibians coincided with the release Friday of 142 adult frogs raised at the San Francisco Zoo, an event Yosemite officials have called a major turning point in the push by park biologists to bring back native wildlife and restore historic habitat for a host of threatened and endangered species. Anyway, it says the reddish puddle hoppers were let loose in 4 wetland parks or ponds under a brilliant blue sky within sight of roaring Yosemite Falls and towering El Capitan, some 50 years after the local population was killed off by an invasive kind of frog, the bullfrog, ravenous raccoons, and a deadly introduced fungus, all the result of human stupidity or neglect. So the red-legged frogs are back in Yosemite Valley, and I think we can all be really happy about that. So there's some good news. Also, there was a story I found. This is really interesting. But there's a gentleman who lives in, where is it? In Montana, northern Montana. His name is Dusty Crawford. And you know those DNA tests like Ancestry, and there are a whole bunch of other ones where they test your DNA and find out where you came from and your ancestors and all that. This man, how they figured this out, I have no idea. It's pretty complicated stuff. But old Mr. Crawford there, they have traced his genes, his DNA, back 55 generations. How they did that, I have no idea. But he is now said to have the oldest DNA in North America. It goes back 17,000 years. So old Mr. Crawford said, you know, I traced my ancestry back like 5 generations. This is 55 generations. So 17,000 years ago. Man, I don't know how they have no idea how they do that stuff. But anyway, there you go. 55 generations, 17,000 years. Now, I tried, no, I'm not going to do it now. But I swore up and down I wasn't going to do it. And then I did it. Which probably explains a lot of things in my life. Anyway, so I did Ancestry. Yes, I gave them my DNA sample, and then they sent me back the results, which were pretty much what I thought they were going to be, plus a little more. So I was really surprised. Maybe at some point I'll tell you about that. So yeah, it's kind of fun. Yeah, why not? It tells you where they came from, where they got in America, where they went to in America, and it's all kind of neat. Let's say there's a lot of mixed Eastern European blood there somewhere, and Western Russia. It's kind of interesting. Okay, oh boy, okay. Now Brian mentioned, that's right. I should have mentioned it myself. This is the anniversary of VE Day, Victory in Europe Day, and it was in 1945. And if I recall, the Germans signed the treaty. The Germans surrendered the previous day, and then this is VE Day, and it was celebrated and all that stuff. And talking about the end of World War II, you remember that famous photograph of the sailor planting the big one on this nurse in Times Square? I mean, it's one of the most famous photographs of all time. And there's a lady who who has complained, probably a little too much into the Me Too thing, where she claims that it was sexual harassment. Okay? So this guy planting a big one on this nurse, and everybody's happy and totally overjoyed at the end of World War II. That was sexual harassment. And maybe we can try him after the fact. Who knows? Or maybe he's gone. Maybe he's dead. I don't know. So that was sexual harassment. Okay, fine. Very good. Okay, I will see you tomorrow at 8:05. Bye.